For so many women and also men here in the United States, there were a slight hope that this might turn Florida.
Let's watch Ines Pohl go from excited to devastated on election night. A lot of entertaining stuff in this one. This is from the German news program DW News.
Yeah, I mean, not only Washington is getting ready for some riots. I mean, the many stores are barricaded and streets are closed, you know. Brent, I mean, just listen to the remarks from Donald Trump during his last rallies. He just said, you know, he wouldn't mind if reporters would get killed. He actually talked actively how he would like if people would shoot at Liz Cheney, a former member of the House of Representatives. So he's really spreading violent kind of word attacks in preparation for...
No context. We'll play the clip now here because also it's Trump with Tucker in the clip, which is quite fascinating.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people. So whether it's her, whether it's Dick, I was surprised a little bit with Dick Cheney. I didn't know him at all. I only had essentially the 1 or 2 phone calls, and it was only a call saying...
So he's obviously making a larger point about people who are war hawks. This clip, by the way, I mean, given the current timing, this is quite the clip, too, to look back on. It's pretty interesting. Trump, Tucker, what's happening in Iran. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. Moving on.
Let's talk about a very unexpected polling number that came out this week, and that is for the state of Iowa. Talk to me about why that has people inside the Trump campaign reportedly nervous.
Hey, we haven't talked about the Iowa poll in quite some time, so I'll play a clip here. The Iowa poll, still very entertaining to look back on.
And it comes as we're getting that striking new poll out of Iowa. Dasha mentioned it. What can you tell us about that?
Wow, this has thrown the political world for a loop because neither party, go back here, neither party has been treating Iowa as a battleground at the presidential level. Remember, Donald Trump did incredibly well here in 16 and 20, won by more than 8 points. This would be, if this actually happened, Harris ahead by 3 over Trump in Iowa. That would be an 11-point shift for Harris in Iowa.
You know, this comes down to the core threat of the Donald Trump campaign, and these are women this year. In the last 2 elections, many suburban, especially white women, voted for Donald Trump. This has changed because of the Supreme Court decision to take away abortion or the protection of nationwide abortion rights. So this is in the core for many, many women, and of course also men who support Kamala.
What do you mean this has changed? Women voted for Trump in 24. Kamala did not do nearly good enough with that voting bloc.
Well, for the second time in the past decade, a woman on the top of a major party's presidential ticket has failed to secure the White House. While Vice President Kamala Harris, the first woman to ever hold that office, did secure the majority of female voters, she had less support among women than the past 3 Democratic presidential candidates.
Harris, because she promised to bring back these nationwide abortion protections in case she wins the White House and gets the majority in the Senate for this change. So by the end of the day, abortion rights, reproduction rights might cause Donald Trump, or might cause that Donald Trump is losing the White House. And that's kind of some irony in there because he is known as such a macho and also a man who is very kind of misogynist in the way he talks about women, and that he might lose the White House just because of that. Well, that might be some special history in the making.
Okay. Our Washington Bureau Chief Ines Pohl.
What an introduction to the video. Wow. Moving forward about 40, 50 minutes, something like that.
Well, no, you know, there's also a margin of error, and as this is so close, we can follow the polls, and they can be wrong, and they still were right, if this makes sense, because, you know, if it's so close, they can say it goes either way, and they still were right. I mean, what I find interesting with Florida, I totally agree with your panel, but there was some hope here in the United States because abortion is so crucial, reproductive.
Some hope. I wonder who she wants to win the election.
Rights are so important for so many women and also men here in the United States. There were a slight hope that this might turn Florida to Kamala Harris. This didn't happen, so that is indeed for some Democrats at least a little bit of a downer here so early in the evening. Even so, I agree we shouldn't kind of overestimate this.
Most Democrats did not think Kamala was going to win Florida. I mean, we covered one election map, I remember, quite a while ago, where she did predict Kamala was going to win Florida, but...
I agree with you, it's going to come down to Pennsylvania, and that she could win Pennsylvania. That is my prediction. But you have her winning Texas and Florida?
Yeah. Puerto Rican vote.
Okay. I will wear a White Dudes for Harris t-shirt on this show.
Texas was already
if
kind of
she
in it.
wins Texas and Florida. There is no way on God's green earth that's going to happen.
Most Democrats, I mean, Florida's definitely not a swing state anymore. And again, jumping forward just a little, we're still pretty early in the night.
We hear some information from Georgia that some areas which were expected to go to Kamala Harris, it looks rather that they go to Donald Trump. So some people are getting really worried, but then again, it's really too early.
You have a major race call to announce, Decision Desk HQ. This is what we have been waiting for. Can now project that former President Donald Trump will win Georgia.
To make these predictions, I'm also checking websites from different bigger media outlets, and there is a small tendency they're predicting a little bit more into the direction of a win of Donald Trump. But again, it's far too early to say anything.
But at least she said that, because I do think that was appropriate to share on election night. Pretty much from the very beginning of the results coming in, it looked good for Trump.
So how does it, I'm sorry, I've asked every person the same stupid question, but it is election night, so I can't control myself.
I got you.
I mean, where do you think we actually are?
Listen, I've done this 3 times now. I feel this is by far, the most comfortable I've been on election. I'm never comfortable. You know me, I sort of function like I'm always 3 points behind, whether I'm 10 points behind or whether I'm 10 points ahead. Some of it looks really good.
She has quite the take on Marjorie Taylor Greene here.
Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, I actually tried to interview her a couple of times. She's on the spectrum, I shall say. She's like spreading lies.
She's on the spectrum. I don't know what this woman means by that. This is a German news program. Maybe, to be very charitable to her, that's a language barrier thing. Maybe her first language is German. I mean, I don't know why you would say that.
From the early days on, a very kind of toxic way to do politics. She's very negative, nothing like a politician who is really looking for solutions. She just wants to hurt the other party. So yes, it's also not really a surprise, but it's also maybe another little sign that ways go, at least for now, not so bad for Donald Trump.
All right. Ines,
quite the analysis there on Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, to the point about Marjorie being negative, maybe, because she sounds pretty negative lately.
And Donald Trump, President Trump, I voted for him 3 times, fought for him to become president, and I still want him to be successful. But he told Americans for over 10 years and even longer that he thought foreign wars and regime change was really a bad direction for America to go in. And we trusted and believed him that we wouldn't be doing this.
Jumping ahead now, several hours in the evening, you can see there on the ticker DW News has on screen, Trump is at 247. At this time, North Carolina, Georgia had been called for Trump.
Yeah, I'm just coming back from Howard University, where Kamala Harris was supposed to deliver her victory speech.
So you won't hear from the vice president tonight, but you will hear from her tomorrow. She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation.
One of her campaign managers came out and said nothing will happen tonight, but she will come out tomorrow. Of course, the Harris campaign says we are still waiting until the last vote is counted, but people are really devastated up there. They're leaving campus, and I think this is pretty much the mood here for all Democrats, because it doesn't look good for them. I mean, the Senate is lost, we know that, and important swing states like Georgia and other important places, North Carolina, went to the Republicans. So the mood is very bright in the Trump camp, of course, but on the other side, in the Democratic camp, people just can't believe that a convicted felon, that someone who is saying in public that he wouldn't mind if reporters are getting shot, who says that politicians could be shot and he wouldn't mind, that someone like that is very, very likely to become the next president of the United States. So this just, Claire, shows how deeply divided this country is.
I know there's a lot of competition for the most absurd election performance. We will call it. Where would you rank hers overall? Top 5, top 10? What do you think?
Is there still a path to victory for Vice President Kamala Harris when you look at the state of the numbers of the swing states that we've seen called so far? Is there still a way that she could clinch the deal?
Theoretically, but practically, I think no.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
Moving forward, a final time, you can see the ticker up there. By this time, Pennsylvania has been called for Trump.
This speech he just delivered was quite remarkable, Barish, when we remember the speech he delivered 4 years ago when he kind of claimed victory when he didn't win the White House. He didn't do that tonight. Of course, the way he approached his family and his audience, he's sure and certain that he will win the election, but he didn't go that far. And everything he basically said about the election is true. He said that he won the young, the old voters, women and male, Latinos, African Americans, Asians, whites. So that was, in my understanding, because I followed many of his rallies, kind of remarkable. He spared us with a lot of false claims.
Final little part here for my video because I love President Trump's stance to this issue.
We will see major policies within the first couple of weeks when it comes to climate politics, when it, of course, comes to migration.
Getting out of Paris, I love President Trump's attitude toward climate.
If you are elected, will you pull the U.S. out of the Paris Accord on climate change once again?
Well, we're going to do it again because it's a ripoff.
And the next item, sir, is a letter that will be transmitted to the United Nations explaining that we are withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty.
The fixation in recent years on climate change, maybe it's been good for wealthy consultants. I don't see how it's good for average working people. But with that said, please like, please subscribe. Have a great day.